What are we gonna do tonight, OCG?
Well, the same thing we try to do every night, Bertram. Take over YouTube. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to Obsessive Compulsive Gaming. I am the Obsessive Compulsive Gamer, joined once again by my faithful manservant / buck-totem Bertram. Say hello, Bertram.
Hello, Bertram.
And this is our retrospective for Final Fantasy XIII-2. So, dear viewer, don't you dare forget to subscribe to this channel and like this video.
What is this?
I'm so glad you asked, Barry Burton. Final Fantasy XIII-2 is another RPG from Square Enix. But that's not all, folks. It's also a shock horror Final Fantasy game, but not only that, a direct sequel.
Oh, I think I just wet myself.
There's tissues under my bed. Not for any particular reason, of course. Sometimes I need to blow my penis. I mean nose. Sometimes I need to blow my nose during the night. Yes. Final Fantasy XIII-2 was released in 2012 for the...
It says here that it was released in 2011 in Japan.
Oh, damn it! Final Fantasy XIII-2 was released for the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 in 2011. A year I remember fondly as the year I was struck by lightning.
Were you standing outside during a storm?
No, lightning actually punched me in the face.
Oh, you mean the attractive protagonist of Final Fantasy XIII, not Lightning.
Yes?
Why did she hit you?
Well, I told her that Cloud Strife looks better in a dress than she does.
Oh.
Anyway, enough about that. Final Fantasy XIII is the second game in the Fabula Nova Crystallis series of games, and before you bloody ask me what that is, Bertram, it is 7 Final Fantasy games that sort of share the same mythology about crystals or some such nonsense.
I knew that. You talked about it in the Final Fantasy XIII Retrospective.
So I did. So, at the beginning of Final Fantasy XIII-2, Lightning, confirmed man-beater and protagonist of the original game, has disappeared into an unknown world. So her younger and far less attractive sister, Serah Farron, and Noel Kreiss journey through time in an attempt to find her.
Who the hell is Noel Kreiss?
Stay tuned and you'll find out, Bertram. Development for Final Fantasy XIII-2 began in early 2010 and lasted for around a year and a half.
Oh, that's not very long.
Neither is this game, Bertram. And let's not forget they were probably able to reuse a lot of character models, locations, and asses.
I think you mean assets?
Yes, assets. And they had help on this game. Square Enix called upon Kreiss to assist with the game's design, art, and programming.
Who the hell is Kreiss?
How the hell would I know? I presume a company that helps with game design, art, and programming.
Do you know anything?
I know that if you interrupt me one more time, I'm going to throw you out of the window. Right, I've just looked up Kreiss, and according to this less than reputable website, Kreiss is a type of pornography starring triplets. No, wait. That's something else. Kreiss. So, apparently, they are a Japanese game developer. Oh, they made Resonance of Fate. That game has Noel North in it. And it's harder than the Cock of Midas.
What's harder than the Cock of Midas? Noel North or Resonance of Fate?
Resonance of Fate. Well, until they tell Noel North that they are developing Uncharted 5. Haha. So, after the less than stellar reviews for Final Fantasy XIII, the plan for Final Fantasy XIII-2 was to exceed that game in every way.
Oh, Final Fantasy XIII is 50 hours of hallways.
I don't recall asking for your opinion, Bertram. And it's not 50 hours of hallways. It's more like 40 hours.
And is Final Fantasy XIII-2 a better game?
You'll have to watch my review to get the answer to that, Bertram. In fact, you there. Yes, you watching this retrospective. I see you touching yourself inappropriately. Have you watched my review for Final Fantasy XIII-2 yet? And why the hell not? Oh, I see. Being breastfed, you say? Aren't you 35? Oh, I see. Well, my congratulations to you and your mother. I didn't think it was legal to marry your own mother, but what do I know? Bertram said I don't know anything. Anyway, when you get a moment, go and watch my review. It's hilarious. Haha. Now, what was I talking about before we, Oh yes, the development. So, as a response to the wankers who said that Final Fantasy XIII was too linear, didn't have enough towns and exploration, didn't have enough side quests, Final Fantasy XIII-2 says, hold my chocobo. You want towns? Here you go. You want a cornucopia of side quests? Well, I don't know what cornucopia means, but here you are. You want non-linear exploration? Take it! Right, I'll take my chocobo back now. Why is he crying? What did you do to my chocobo, you sick bastard?
But does all of that make Final Fantasy XIII-2 better than Final Fantasy XIII?
I told you, Bertram, you have to watch my review.
Oh!
Now, the developers not only wanted to make Final Fantasy XIII-2 a better game than its predecessor, they also wanted the story to be darker and more mysterious. Speaking of the story, it was originally conceived to take place 900 years after Final Fantasy XIII. God knows what that would have been about. But eventually it was decided that the plot would focus instead on time travel. Serah, who had spent most of the last game encased in ice, was promoted in Final Fantasy XIII-2 to main character, with most of the original cast relegated to glorified cameos. But we'll talk a little more about that later. So let's quickly recap the plot for Final Fantasy XIII-2, shall we? Now the game opens in 3AF, and for those of you who don't know, AF stands for after farting. The game opens in 3AF as the Pulse town Serah lives in is attacked by monsters. A stranger named Noel appears to help fight the monsters and claims to be a time traveler from 700 AF. He arrived in her time via Valhalla, where he claims to have met Lightning as she guarded the throne of the weakened Etru. As part of Lightning's transfer to Valhalla, she was erased from the fall of Cocoon onwards, making everyone except Serah forget her being with them on Gran Pulse. That's Gran Pulse, not Grand Pulse, Gran Pulse. And paradoxes have erupted throughout time, warping the timeline. Serah joins Noel in a journey to resolve these paradoxes by removing items and monsters that are out of their original time. She hopes to find her sister, and he hopes, he being Noel hopes, to changing the bleak future he comes from. While journeying to 5 after farting to resolve a paradox on Cocoon, they meet and help Alyssa, an Academy member and survivor of the Purge, a massacre by the Sanctum at the beginning of Final Fantasy VIII. Final Fantasy VIII, Final Fantasy XIII, bloody Roman numeral bastards. Traveling to the ruined city of Padra in 10 AF, they find Hope leading the Academy, with Alyssa as his assistant. They also find a recording of prophecies made by one of the Seeresses of Padra, who are believed to have died out centuries prior. One fragmented prophecy shows Lightning in Valhalla. Padra is shrouded by an eclipse, which Noel says is not supposed to happen for several centuries. While Serah and Noel resolve the paradox causing the eclipse, they encounter Caius Ballad, a man Noel knows from 700 AF, who opposes their mission, and Yeul, who looks identical to a girl of the same name Noel knew in the future. After resolving the paradox, an alternative timeline appears in which there was never an eclipse. The repaired prophecy shows Caius in Valhalla fighting Lightning and the pillar supporting Cocoon collapsing. Noel claims that this takes place around 400 AF, devastating the human population as well as the world, creating a future where he is the last human in existence. Serah and Noel move on, while Hope and Alyssa work on finding a way to prevent the pillar's collapse. In 300 AF, the pair find Snow fighting a giant paradox-fueled monster that is dissolving the crystal pillar. After resolving the paradox, which delays the fall of Cocoon until 500 AF, Snow disappears again as an anomaly from another time. The pair then go to the city of Academia on Gran Pulse in 400 AF, where they are attacked by the city's AI, which claims they were killed 200 years previously. Traveling to 200 AF, they discover a paradox whereby a man-made foul sea meant to re-levitate Cocoon turned on its creators. Resolving the paradox, Noel and Serah travel to an alternative 400 AF Academia. In this world, the pair find Hope and Alyssa again, who had put themselves in stasis. They explain their new plan to mechanically float a new cocoon to hold humanity, which Serah and Noel help with before heading to 500 AF Academia. They are betrayed by Alyssa, revealed to be a living paradox doomed to disappear in the corrected timeline, and trapped by Caius in dream worlds. Before being trapped, Serah meets the spirit of Yeul, who explains that she is the seeress of Padra, continually reincarnated throughout history, while Caius is her immortal guardian, gifted with Etro's own heart. Yeul explains that every time the timeline is changed, the resulting shock kills her. Caius has been driven mad by watching her die repeatedly, and seeks to end the process by unleashing the chaos trapped in Valhalla to destroy all time. Serah has the same power, and risks death every time she changes the future. Resolving to go on, Serah breaks free of her dream world and frees Noel from his, in which he is the last living human, after his Yeul dies and Caius leaves for Valhalla. After briefly encountering lightning, the pair fight Caius, first in 500 AF Academia, and then in Valhalla. As they defeat him, he claims to have killed lightning, then impales himself through the heart on Noel's blade, killing the weakened Etro. When the pair return to Academia in 500 AF, where Vanille and Fang have been rescued from the collapsing pillar, and the new cocoon named Buenavalise has risen, Serah dies in front of Noel and Hope from the shock of the future changing. A black cloud erupts from the sky as the chaos that Etro was keeping trapped breaks free. Lightning is then shown in crystal stasis on the throne of Etro's temple. If the player completes all optional parts of the game, they are shown an additional scene in which Caius is on the throne, declaring that the goddess is gone for good, and that Yeul and he can begin a new life freed from their curse. So, that's the plot of Final Fantasy XIII-2. Isn't it bloody complicated? Get on your chocobo and come on down to Gran Pulse. The D in Grand is once again absent. I have reported its disappearance to the authorities, and I will keep you updated. In Final Fantasy XIII-2, we'll not only let you visit locations new and not so new, we'll let you fuck up the space-time continuum itself, revisiting those same locations across different periods. First up, we have New Bodom. When you first arrive, it's the peaceful seaside town where Serah has settled into tranquil life as a school teacher. You can practically feel the sand between your toes, until paradoxes turn it into a monster-infested arena. Now you have monster bastards nibbling on your toes. We better move on. Next stop, the brain-freezing Brescia ruins, covered in ice and snow. What was once a buzzing city is now full of soldiers, researchers, and a giant mechanical hand? Oh dear, better keep the hell away from that. No, actually, you have to fit that giant hand to progress. So ignore what I just said. Then we have Yashis Massif, which sounds like a made-up name, and it is. Next we have Uerba, an eerily beautiful deserted village, choked by the relentless devouring desert sands. Oop, there's those bloody monsters nibbling on our toes again. Get the hell off me, scum of Satan! Anyway, next up we have Academia, a neon-lit metropolis of the future with modern architecture, a multi-level layout, and hovering cars that make traffic jams a thing of the past. So come on down to Gran Pulse. Complimentary hand jobs for all men aged 45 and over.
You didn't mention the Void Beyond, Valhalla, or the Historia Crotch. I mean Crocs.
And now I don't have to. Thank you, Bertram.
You're welcome?
Unlike previous Final Fantasy games, Final Fantasy XIII-2 has only 2 playable characters. We have Serah, our pink-haired heroine. In the last game, she was positively useless, but no longer. She has graduated to a bow-slinging, time-traveling bitch from hell. Well, she's from Gran Pulse, but you know what I mean. Our other playable character is the brooding ray of sunshine, Noel Kreiss. In his spare time, he likes to dissect girls.
Is that true?
Sure, why not? Haha. Coming from a time period where he's the last man standing, solitude is his second nature. And yet, his courage is unwavering as a blind man's gaze.
What?
You know, because they don't move their eyes due to the blindness.
I don't think that's accurate.
Silence, Bertram. I'll decide what is and isn't accurate. Thank you very much. Haha. Noel's mysterious past unravels beautifully as he fights alongside Serah, showing massive restraint not to take that pink-haired cutie in his arms and not make passionate love to her. Though they are not playable, we can't forget our trusty Moogle companion Mog. He handily transforms into Serah's nifty bow, and you can throw him to pick up shit that's just out of reach.
Oh, he's so cute.
He is that. Who else do we have? Oh Yes, Caius Ballad, a purple-haired villain slash diva. His motive is as dastardly as his fashion sense. He wants to destroy time itself to, save a girl or some such bollocks. He's evil. If you see him, kick his ass. Next up, we have that girl Caius is trying to save. Yeul. Dreadful name. Tragic character. And last, but most certainly not least, we have Lightning. She's a time-traveling badass, a warrior, and a sex symbol rolled into one. Sadly, unlike Final Fantasy XIII, she has less screen time here than the Invisible Man in a porno. That's a good one, isn't it? As diverse as the landscapes are, so are the gameplay options. Imagine driving a car with a clutch, brakes, an accelerator, a dead prostitute in the trunk, and then some. That's the gameplay of Final Fantasy XIII-2 for you.
I don't get it.
Basically, this game has lots of combat options.
Oh!
The usual turn-based combat of previous Final Fantasy games gets a major upgrade with the Paradigm Shift system. First introduced in Final Fantasy XIII, it is carried over to this sequel. No longer do your characters take turns hitting each other with oversized sex toys and vegetables. Though, technically, you still do that. Basically, your characters can shift between different combat roles, like the Commando, Ravager, Sentinel, Saboteur, Synergist. All of them a violent cog in a well-oiled fighting machine. And you will use that machine to kill your enemies with efficiency. Haha.
Nicely said, OCG.
Thank you, Bertram. So, apart from fighting enemies to the death, Final Fantasy XIII-2 also allows you to tame monsters and use them in combat. Ever wanted a pet that could rip your enemies to ribbons? Well, here you can have a whole collection of the little bastards. Tamagotchis, they are not. Trained killers, they are. Haha. Yet, Final Fantasy XIII-2 isn't just about tactical fights and pet management. There's also an ample serving of environmental puzzle solving, which is the game's way of breaking up all that combat you're going to be doing. For more information on the game's gameplay, including how you upgrade your characters or more information on the mini-games, then might I recommend you go and play the bloody game for yourselves. Haha. Final Fantasy XIII-2 was released in 2013 to mostly positive reviews. Many considered it to be an improvement on Final Fantasy XIII. And before you say anything, Bertram, if you want to know what I think, you can check out my review like everyone else.
Oh!
The game would be followed by a sequel 2 years later. And yes, of course, we will be talking about that game next. So, if you haven't already, then I implore you to buy, download, steal, or sell your body to get your hands on Final Fantasy XIII-2 and play it, god damn it! So, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, our retrospective for Final Fantasy XIII-2. If you enjoyed this little video of ours, don't forget to give me a thumbs up. If you haven't enjoyed it, well then feel free to give me a thumbs down. Please go and check out the full review and full game playthrough for Final Fantasy XIII-2, both of which are on the channel, right about now. But please remember the single most important thing I always tell you, dear viewer, and that is to always stay obsessed with gaming. Say goodbye, Bertram.
Goodbye, Bertram.
Are you still here? Oh, you must have really enjoyed this video then. In that case, you had better subscribe to the channel and check out our other content. Otherwise, you're a booby pants, and no one wants to be a booby pants.